Hello and welcome to this Grammaticus tutorial on Complete the Grid, a non-verbal reasoning question which often appears on the Lincolnshire paper. Now, all the questions that we're going to look at today are in a square grid shape. Today we're going to be focusing on the squares with 9 small squares and 4 small squares in them, but they can be 16 squares within the square that you're given. And also the grids can be completely different shapes. Some years I've seen them to be they can be triangles, they might be an 8-point star shape. They can be anything, so do be prepared that it could be a different shape, and do look out for further tutorials which cover these different shapes where you have to approach them in a slightly different way. Let's have a little look at the example to start with. Well, if we look at the example, we can see that we have a square here in the bottom corner that we need to decide which shape is going to go in here. Now, first of all, I'm going to look for shapes that are the same, and I can see that on each row I have a large grey hexagon. I can also see on each row that I have a large triangle, and on the top 2 rows I have a white oval. Now, a white oval is missing from the bottom row, so I can work out that it's going to be a white oval that goes here. Now, it's worth always checking the columns as well as the rows, and if you have a little look, you can see that you've got an oval in this column, an oval in this column, and you're going to need an oval in this column. And there are other shapes that you can often look for as well. If you have a little look here, you can see that I have a line of hexagons here, I have a line of triangles here, so I'm going to have a line of oval shapes here. So there are various ways of getting to the correct answer, but on that one we've got the same answer if we look at it in all those different ways. Right, let's have a little look at question number 1. Well, in question number 1, straight away, I can see that I have 3 of the same shape in each of the top 2 rows. But there's something different about them. I think it's easiest to see on the middle row. So let's have a little look at the middle row first. Well, I can see I have a small grey stripy triangle. I have a large grey triangle that's the other way up. And then I have a medium-sized white triangle on the end. Now, if I have a little look at the other top row here, which again is it's all made up of the same shapes, I can see that I have a large grey pentagon and a small grey pentagon, but this time these two are in the same orientation. It's the medium-sized shape that is upside down. So in each row I have 2 shapes that are facing one way and one that's facing the other way, that's been flipped, that's been reflected. If I have a little look as well on my rows here, I can see that they're all the same shape, and if I look at my columns, I can see I have a pentagon, a triangle and a star. Pentagon, triangle, star. Pentagon, triangle, so it's got to be a star. Now, I've also got those different sizes as well. I've got a large pentagon, medium-sized pentagon, small pentagon, large, medium, small triangle. I've got large, medium, but I haven't got a small star. So it's a small star that I'm going to be looking for. Well, if I look over here, I can see I have a medium-sized star here, so I'm going to cross that one out straight away. I also know from the shading that it's got to be stripy, so I can get rid of A. I also know that one of the shapes has to be in a different orientation. So first of all, I need to work out if these two are in the same orientation. Now, with a 5-pointed star, we've got one of the points facing straight up, and then we've almost got 2 legs for it to stand up on. Okay, so we're looking for it to have 1 point facing down and 2 legs at the top. Well, if I have a little look at B, I can see I've got 2 legs at the bottom there and 1 at the top there, so that's in the same orientation as we have over here, so that one isn't going to be right. This one has got 2 at the bottom and 1 at the top, so again that one isn't going to be right. Now this one has 1 at the bottom, and then 2 at the top there. So it's going to be E. I'm going to mark E on my worksheet here, and then I'm going to mark it on my answer sheet as well, and then cross it off. Okay, let's have a little look at question number 2. Now in question number 2, I've again got 9 squares, and straight away I'm sure you can see that you have the same letters in each of the rows. We've got a row of T's, we've got a row of H's, and we're obviously going to have a row of G's. So straight away I'm going to cross off D and E because we haven't got the right letter. Now I can see that these letters are turning around, and I would suggest, as we've done before on different questions, that you use your pencil if you are not too sure about your rotating skills. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the blue top of my pencil so that it is facing the top of my T, on the flat part of my T. So it's going to be facing up there, then it's turning 90 degrees clockwise to go to here, and then a further 90 degrees clockwise to go to here. If we check, the same thing has happened to the H. It's going from here to here to here, and the same thing with the G. So it's going from here to here. So it's got to be facing upside down. So if we have a little look, well, this one is the same as this one. Well, this one isn't the same as this one, so that one isn't correct. We know it has to be facing, it has to be the flipped version of the first shape that we had here, because that's what's happened here and here and here and here. So it's going to have to be A. I'm going to circle A, mark it on my answer sheet, and then cross off that question. Right, okay, let's have a little look at question number 3. Well, in question number 3, I can see that I have a grey circle, a white triangle, and a grey star. I have a white circle, something, white star, grey circle, triangle, star. If we look at the columns, I can see I have a row of stars. It's probably going to be a row of triangles and a row of circles. Now looking at the columns, I can see I have grey, white, grey, grey, white, grey. In my rows, I've got grey, white, grey, grey, white, grey. So the chances are it's going to be alternating whichever way I look at it. So it's going to be white, grey, white. Also, if I look at the colours that I have running diagonally across these, I can see that all of those are white there. So they're all going to be grey running diagonally here, and similarly this way along the diagonal. So I'm looking for a grey triangle, so I'm going to cross out B and E. Now this is quite common, what I'm going to point out to you now, on Complete the Grid questions and also on Complete the Sequence questions, so do be aware of this. Now you've got to look carefully now at the position within these small squares, and sometimes these small squares can be quite small, so you have to look at these very, very carefully. Now I think it's clearest to see on the circle, so let's take the circle. Now if I have a little look, I can see that this grey circle here is at the bottom of the square, that's at the bottom. This white circle here is in the middle, and this grey circle here is at the top. So in my column I have one at the top, one at the middle, one at the bottom. Looking at my stars, I've got a star at the bottom, a star at the top, and a star in the middle. So I've got to have one in each of those different positions. So if I have a little look at my triangles, I can see I have one at the top and one at the middle. So I've got to have one at the bottom. So the grey triangle that's at the bottom is C. That's going to be my answer. I'm going to mark that on my question paper, then on my answer sheet, and then cross it off. Okay, let's have a little look at one final question. Now this question has only 4 squares in it, and we need to look very, very carefully at it. Well, let's see what we can see. Well, straight away I can see that both of the shapes at the bottom here are white on the outside and white on the inside. So it's likely that I'm going to be looking for a grey shape inside working this way. So I'm looking for a grey shape, so I'm going to cross out those that haven't got a grey shape inside them. And now I need to have a little look to see if I can find out what has happened here. Well, again, a common thing to happen. I can see I have a hexagon here in the middle, and that becomes the hexagon on the outside. So whatever the little shape is inside becomes the outside shape above it. So here I've got a star shape, so that's going to become the outside shape. So I'm looking for a star. Now it's got to be this shape star. It can't be a 5-pointed star. This shape hasn't changed, it's just got bigger. So the only star that's the same number of points as the one I have over here is C. So it's looking like it's going to be C. I'm just going to check the other thing though as well, and I can see that the outside shape here has become smaller and has been coloured in. So if that happens here as well, the square over here will become smaller and coloured in grey. So it's going to be a grey square inside which matches. So I'm going to circle C, I'm going to mark that on my answer sheet and then cross off question number 4. Now there is a worksheet to accompany this tutorial that has plenty of other examples for you to have a go at. I hope you found that useful. As I mentioned earlier, do look out for the Complete the Grid questions that are in other shapes, which will be on the tutorial library soon. Goodbye.